Imagine having 500 wives and still feeling lonely. This is the strange, true story of a king who ruled over an entire empire, had hundreds of women at his side, yet couldn't find the love he desperately craved. This king was King Tamba of ancient Benin and what is now Nigeria. He lived in the grand royal palace, surrounded by riches, servants, and of course, wives, so many wives that he could barely remember their names. Yet despite the luxury and power, he was deeply unhappy. You see, in the royal court, marrying many women wasn't always about love. It was about politics. Kings married women from different families and tribes to strengthen alliances, gain loyalty, and secure their rule. These women were often chosen for their beauty, social status, or family connections, not for the king's personal happiness. King Tamba's life was a perfect example. His marriages were tools to control the kingdom. Each wife was a symbol of his power, but none were true partners. Over time, the palace became a place of jealousy, competition, and betrayal. It wasn't uncommon for queens and concubines to fight for the king's attention, sometimes even poisoning each other or plotting dark schemes to rise in the ranks. The king, surrounded by hundreds of wives, found himself trapped in a web of power games, flattery, and manipulation. Despite his vast harem, the king longed for a genuine connection, someone who would love him for who he was, not for what he could offer. But in a court where everything was about survival and politics, that kind of love was nearly impossible. As he grew older, the king became more and more isolated. He would often sit alone in his grand halls, gazing at the wealth around him, gold, jewels, and endless luxury, but none of it brought him peace. Even surrounded by so many women, he felt lonely. In his final years, King Tamba's health declined. Few wives visited him, fewer cared. When he finally died, the palace mourned because they had to, not because they loved him. The 500 wives, once symbols of his power, were left behind, just as lost as he had been. This story makes you wonder, is power worth it if it costs you your happiness? Can you ever be truly loved if you're only seen as a prize or a tool for someone's ambition? Even the mightiest of kings, with hundreds of wives and untold riches, can die without the one thing they crave the most: genuine love. And maybe that's the real lesson here. You can have everything in the world, but without real connection, it all feels empty. If you like this dose of bizarre facts, hit that like button, subscribe, and drop a comment telling me the strangest thing you've ever learned in history. Who knows, it might end up in the next episode.